Hey everyone. I'm gonna get you guys started on Villa Savoye, going over a couple processes that we haven't covered in class yet, including inserting a photo um, that we can use as a reference, as well as laying out grids and what's the other thing? Oh, ramp systems and stair systems. Um, so, in the assignment, it has a link to a website with the drawings, as well as I've uploaded the drawings to uh, Canvas under the folder Villa Savoye. Um, so make sure that you download those so that you have the same reference files. And then we'll start a new project using the computational practice Revit template. I know a couple people had issues before that it wasn't downsaved to anybody using 2018 or 19. So I've gone in and I've uploaded Revit 2018 version in case anybody needs that. Hopefully you should have all figured that out by now. Okay, so let's go to our level one plan and let's insert the reference file that we're going to use. So we need to go under insert up at the top and then go to image and then go navigate to wherever you have your files and then let's select one of them. All right, so let's do, so this one is more detailed, but this one has more information about the elevations. So let's do that one for right now just to get an overall reference. So obviously right now it's very difficult to see, well, or be able to interpret anything other than some of the titles of the drawings. But I know that the structural grid is approximately 4.7 meters or 15 feet. So we'll use that as a base to scale everything else from. So to do that, to scale everything, what you want to do is select the photo and then go up to the top under the Modify tab. There's a scale. Hit that. And then let's just zoom in and try and go from the center of 1. And let's actually do the entire thing because the larger the scale reference, the more accurate it will be. At least I've found that in most of my practice. So 15, 30, 45, 60. So we'll go to around approximately the center point. And of course, the drawing's a little off or a little blurry, so it's hard to get an exact measurement. But let's do 60 feet. All right, it's blown up a little bit. All right, and then let's kind of center this between the elevations. And what happens when you insert a photo is it inserts into this specific view. You can copy and paste them into different views, but just so that it doesn't show up in drawings that it's not supposed to, it only inserts into this specific view. And then after we do that, I'll get it kind of centered. And then what I typically do with images is I pin them. And that makes sure that they don't move accidentally and get shifted while I'm drawing. So to do that, you can select the photo by just clicking it and then going up to the Modify tab, and directly to the right of the Scale button is the pin. So you select that, then it pins, and then you can't move it, shift it, anything until you unpin it. And to unpin it, all you got to do is either when you select it, this pin will come up. You can click that, or you can go up to the Modify tab and select Unpin. Okay? So, now that we have the drawing kind of laid out and scaled correctly, what we want to do is add in the columns. And to get you guys a little bit more familiar with the structural aspect of Revit, we'll set up some structural grids. So let's go to the Architecture tab, and then all the way to the right under Datum, right next to Level, is Grid. So if you select that, what it will have you do is you select on one side of the grid and then drag it to the extents of the other side, and then click, and that'll create your first grid. Um, it defaults as 1. You can change that to whatever you want. So 1A, typically in practice, we'll do 1 run of the same grid is in numbers and the other is in letters. So we'll just take that, copy it, and I just did a shortcut for copy, but you can just go up at the top under modify, and then I'm gonna select 15 feet. 15 feet, 15, and 15. And since we scaled this drawing, all of those are coming in pretty accurately. And then I'm going to do a second set of grids, this time starting from the bottom and dragging up. And then I'm going to change this to A, since it's starting a different row of column grids. And then instead of just copy and pasting them, since they are the same distance away from each other, I'll take this opportunity to show you guys the array tool. Just like in Rhino, it's a linear array tool. You can also do a radial array if you need to. And what it will do is if you take what you've selected, if you take what you've selected and click at the base origin point and then drag to the desired distance, 15 feet, you can type it in as well. What it's going to do is it's going to put the second object there, and then it's going to ask you how many items in that array you want at the end. So we need 5. So if we just type in 5, it'll automatically populate and you're good to go. Now, to be aware, if you array them, what they do is they actually group these. And what that means is that they're essentially tied to that array. So you can go in and change the number if you end up needing more or it wasn't enough. So you can go in and select one of the grids that you arrayed or one of the objects that you arrayed. And then this number will pop up showing you how many items you arrayed. And you can click it and alter it. Now you can't change, I don't think, actually let me see. So if you click it and go to edit group and you shift it over 1 foot and hit finish. Yeah, so it just edits the object, but I don't think there is a obvious way to change the array distance. So you're stuck with 15 feet. But yeah, so just be aware of that. And if you're confident in the placement of your array, what you can do is just select them all, go up to the top and hit ungroup. And now you have your set of grids. Now for some reason, it changed AB to ABF. So let's change that to C, D, and E. All right, so now we have our structural grid. And now we need to import some columns. Now, Savoye is famous for its really simple round columns. So what we can do is go up to column and add structural column. Right now it's defaulted to W shapes or wide flange beams. What we want to do is go in and load a round column. And please let me know if you don't have these. They should come in with your what am I trying to say? They should come in with your Revit template. And when you download Revit, it should download all of the different library families. But if you do not have it, what I'll do is I'll just upload it to Canvas, just so that you make sure that you guys have the same column. So if we go in, so these are the family library, and this is the location of it. If anybody, oh, just kidding. This is Little's families. But the layout and what groups are in the folder are going to be the same in the default Revit family. So scroll down to structural, model families, structural columns. As I'm doing this, I'm pretty sure this is specific to Little. So I'll just save the the family and upload it to Canvas. Apologies for that. All right, so we need an HSS round hollow structural column. Hit OK, and then so this will give you all the different sizes, and these are actual standard sizes, which is nice when you're actually working in the field, so that you're not coming up with some random size, custom sizes that's going to blow the budget. So let's do a 10-inch column is fine. These are all the outside diameter. Here, let's just select one of the 1 foot and one of the 10-inch. Doesn't matter our thickness since these aren't actually being built. Let's load both of those in, and then we'll just see what looks better. So when you select structural column, up at the top, there's a couple of things to be aware of. All right, first, if we're placing columns vertically, you want to make sure this is selected. Sometimes it defaults to slanted, and it's going to ask you for an initial placement and a second placement. Don't want that. Just want vertical columns for right now. And then at grids. So this is really important for if you have structural grids set up already. Is that these will place place a column at every intersection of the grid, which I'll show you in a second. The other thing that we want to do is specify how tall these columns are going to be. And in Villa Savoye, they only go to the top of the second level. Which will be, so our first level will be down here, second level will be here, and then roof level, and then we'll have to create a roof terrace top level here. So let's select roof for right now. This is level 1, depth. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and you want to change that. So depth you don't want to have changed. Let's change the height, and then let's put that to roof. And then let's select these at grids, and what you want to do is select all the grids, because that's where we want the columns, is at every single intersection. If you only select these 2 grids, it's only going to place a column at this intersection. So you want to select all of them and then hit finish at the top, and it'll go and place columns at all of those grids. And if we go to a 3D view, you can see they are all there. All right. All right. So now that we've done that, let's go to a north elevation, and let's add that roof terrace in. And one thing that we can do is, since we have the elevations and they are at scale, what we can do is just copy and paste this image in and adjust the north elevation, which is north in, I think it's Italian. It looks Italian. I'm just going to assume it's Italian. All right, so we'll orient this to the elevation, to the levels. So let's shift this over so that the grid is aligned. And one thing about Revit, really random, but if you zoom in and use the arrow keys, the movements of the object will get incrementally smaller. It looks like it's trying to keep up with the pixels, so we'll just center it there. All right, and then let's adjust the levels. First, let's adjust them in so that they are only extending through the immediate building, and then let's adjust the height. So let's put this down 9.5. Actually, let's make this 10. The roof, let's move it down. So one thing to remember, if we go and look at the image. So there is, it's a very tiny parapet. This might be just the model itself, but let's look at one other 3D view. And it's an interior cut, so it doesn't show us anything. All right, never mind. So let's do that. Let's just do, let's do 21. Why not? And then let's copy one up. So copy 9 feet, looks pretty good. And we can rename it roof. Let's call that roof, and let's call this roof terrace, or just terrace. You can rename it whatever you want, as long as I can understand. All right, so now that we have the level set up and correct, the reason why we did that is because we're going to be creating a ramp. Mimics this guy. It is the ramp that goes across up the entirety of the building. Oh, this would have probably been smart to do. Let's see how the section lines up with the levels. All right, so we're a little off. All right, let's put this up 1 foot. And oh, that actually seems pretty good. All right, so we're just a little off. All right, that's much better. So 0, 10 and a half, and 21. That makes it so that the level one, the second level and the terrace level are equal distances apart. And the reason why that's good is because then we can literally just make one ramp for 10 and a half feet and then just copy and paste it up to level 2. So let's do that. All right, and to create a ramp, what you want to do is go into the circulation under architecture tab, hit ramp, and what we want to do shape is, you know what, so you can do this. All right, let's try this real quick. So I'm going to show you how to just use the ramp tool, but for this specific ramp, we'll eventually do it a different way. So for ramp, what you're going to need to know is the base level, which is level 1, the top level you want to get to, which is level 2. You can change the top offsets or base offsets, and then it's going to ask you for a ramp slope. So ADA is 1/12. This was built a little bit before ADA, and not in America. So it's actually closer to 1/5. And the way you get that is just, we have 10 and a half feet to go, and it's 26 feet of run each way, since it's a scissor back, so it's 52 feet total. So you just do the 10 and a half feet divided by 26, and that's about 0.4. Oh no, excuse me. 10 and a half divided by, oh no, because that's the wrong one. 10 and a half divided by 52. It's 26 per run, 52 total, which comes out to about 0.2, which is 1/5. So it's asking for 1/x, 1/5, and that'll get us pretty close. So if you hit OK and go down here, and it'll give you, you can change the width of the ramp. Right now this is already at 3 feet, so we're good. But if we wanted to change it to 5 or 6, you change it over in the instance properties here, and you can change that afterwards too. So click and drag up to the level, and then the nice thing about both ramps and stairs is it's asking for the run. So you click and drag and it creates the run. And then if you click over on the side to create the second run, it will automatically create a landing. So click that. See, it's automatically created our landing. The landing in Villa Savoye is a little thicker, a little wider. So we'll just click and drag that. This green represents the outline of the ramp as a whole. And once we hit check, it's okay. And we have a ramp if we go and look at that. And it gives us some really ugly railings, which we can delete or change if we want. All right. So that's one way you can do ramps. Now, the problem is that doing the calculations, it's giving you an odd number. So it's not always the best. So what you can also do is just go in and hit floor and just change it to whatever, generic 12. And then we can get the exact distance of the ramp. So 26 feet. And the nice thing about this and floors is that you can put an exact slope on there, or what you can do is integrate this slope arrow up at the top next to the check mark. If you click that and click on one end and drag up to the top, it's going to give you this arrow. Now this arrow allows you to give a certain elevation at the bottom of the arrow and at the top of the arrow. And then whatever slope that ends up being is what it is. So height offset at the head, which is the head of the arrow, height offset at the tail. So the tail we want to be at 0, and then the head we want to be 10.5 divided by 5. What am I trying to say? 5'3". So 5'3". Now that we did that, it automatically creates a floor at the exact slope that we want at the two distances. Now, of course, with this, it doesn't give us a automatic railing, an automatic landing, excuse me. But it does give us a little bit more control over the slopes and how long we want them to be and at what height. And the nice thing is, so we can just rotate this guy. Rotate. And then since it's the same exact slope, you could go in, right? You could go in, click the slope arrow, change this to 5'3", change this to 10.5 feet, and it would be fine. Or you can cheat a little bit and just move it up 5'3", and then that automatically does that. Automatically moves it up to the right heights. And then all we got to do here is create a little landing. Generic 12. We'll have this just be flat, but we need to go into our 3D view and align with the side of this guy. And then since we want it to be a landing halfway up, we'll have to change the offset from base to 5'3". Oh boy, whoops. And then we can align it to actually end at the ramp ends. Hit yes. Now we have the two ramps. And then we can group this, which I don't think we've covered yet. So grouping is a really good way if you have multiple sets of objects like this ramp that you want to make copies of, and if you want to manipulate those sets, it'll populate through the entire drawing. You can group them. Up at the top, it's this sphere and cube with a star next to it. Let's say ramp. All right, and then we can copy to clipboard, excuse me. So where is it? This copy up here, copy to clipboard, or Control C, and then paste, and do the drop down paste, align to selected levels, select it to level 2, hit OK. Now we have our second ramp. And the nice thing about groups is you can select it, edit the group, and we could, move this, shift this over 3 feet, hit finish group, and it's going to shift it over in this group as well. It's really good. If you have the same module of facade on the outside that you want to be able to control, it's really prevalent in residential apartments, right? You have typically 4 or 5 different types of units. They're all the same, and then you just have them spread out across the entire apartment complex. If you change the bathroom tile in one, you not want to have to go in and change all of those 50 times, right? So you just make one group of that unit, you populate it throughout the project, and then if you do want to change the the toilet location or a sink or whatnot, all you gotta do, edit the group, hit the check mark, it'll populate through the entire project. Okay, so there is your ramp. There's 2 ways to build a ramp. There's your structural grid. The only thing that you might also have trouble with is just creating the curvature. Do not make it bigger than it is, right? So all you got to do for these curved walls on the roof terrace is go into a wall, select whatever wall you're going to end up using, and then I typically use just the start end radius arc, because these are all true circular radius. There's no splines. Just get it close. Doesn't have to be perfect, just needs to be close. Get in the generic shape. Okay, then you have your wall. Of course, you'll want it to put it on the actual roof terrace and not out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so follow, create the floors, create the exterior walls, and create, how much time have I done? And create the rooftop terrace walls. So just these big curvature walls, nothing too major. Don't worry about the stair yet. We'll get into that. And yeah, so exterior walls, floors, we already done the columns, and anything else will be in the assignment sheet. And then set up a sheet with the drawings that are asked for in the assignment and submit the PDFs, and you'll be all good. All right, thanks, have a good one.